Annyeonghaseyo, hi guys. So, I, as you guys know, on July 3rd, Hamilton came out on Disney Plus. Now, you guys know I've seen a lot of shows. Obviously, I've seen Wicked 16 times. I've seen a ton of other shows, and I've been really obsessed with Hamilton lately. So, this whole week, going into the next one, I'm gonna do different videos on like my favorite musicals and why, shows I've seen on and off Broadway, and also my favorite song that I've seen from each show that I have seen. I'm counting Hamilton in the shows that I've seen now because even though I haven't seen it live, I still got to watch the full show. I watched it 3 times on Disney Plus. So like I have seen the whole show and watched the show. So I'm considering that because it's special, especially since the times we're in, nobody's seeing shows right now. But first off, the video I'm going to do is I'm going to do my favorite musicals and why. Now I have my top 5 favorite musicals. I've seen a lot of musicals, I've seen a lot of shows, but these are the 5 musicals that I'm counting as like my top 5 ever. And then my next video, which will come out Wednesday, I will be actually doing a review on, obviously, Hamilton. I know I was going to do that one first, which will be coming out right now. But I have a lot I want to talk about in that next one. So that's going to come out Wednesday. And then, obviously, Friday. And then the Monday one will be my favorite songs from each show I've seen and my favorites. You guys will see this hoodie in all the videos. So obviously, I record all my videos together. So the first show I'm actually going to start with is actually, obviously, Wicked. I've seen the show 16 times, and the things I've actually seen it 16 times on Broadway. And I've seen it literally 16 times on Broadway. And let me see. Yeah. I was like, should I go over my notes because I have my little notepad, my little notes right here, because my brain would just go. So I really, really love Wicked because first off, that's the first like live musical I saw. Another show you'll see that I have on here, it's actually my number 5, is actually Cats, and I'll get to the story when I get to that. But that was my first show I had seen on PBS when I was in like elementary school, but. You know, Wicked was my first live show I actually got to see when I was in high school. My theater club actually got to go to New York City, and we got to work with some of the cast members, the ensemble members from the show. We got to do a workshop with them. I was trying to think in my head. We got to do a workshop with them, and we got to do it from Wicked. I got to see Wicked 2 times with my school, with my drama club, and I got to see it the rest of the times with my mom. My mom took me to New York City for my birthday. She took me to New York City. We did trips. So that was really a big thing in the show that connected with me. I also really loved Wizard of Oz growing up. I also did that show when I was in high school too, Wizard of Oz. So I really, really loved Wizard of Oz growing up. I even have like, do I have the book there? Oh, I do have the book. I actually have, literally I have the Wizard of Oz book, which the pages are gold, and that's really, really cool. And I actually also have, do I have it down here? I don't know, it might be in my books. But I actually have the book. There was a few books that actually were the play Wicked is actually based on. So it's actually based on a few books and stuff from the same author. But I just can't think about it for a second. Excuse me. So when I got to see the show the first time, already loving Wizard of Oz anyway, I came into the perceived notion that I was gonna get to see Dorothy, but you don't even get to see Dorothy. You get to see like a shadow of her within the show. So I'm not gonna say spoiler alert because Wicked's been out for a long time. So if you haven't seen it, you obviously know about it. When I first saw the show, I was automatically like drawn to Elphaba, who obviously everybody knows her as the Wicked Witch of the West. Um, I connected with her in a sense as like everybody always saw her and had this perceived notion about her because she was green or because she was different. And I feel like I've always connected with that because I'm not a skinny mini. I've not, you know, a skinny girl. I got curves. And when I've gone into theater, people had the perceived notion that like, you know, that I can't belt out. I can't belt out just as much as anybody else because, or I can't be in certain roles because I'm not a skinny mini like certain characters. Or in cosplay, people think that I can't go bust out a badass cosplay just because I'm not skinny like the characters I play. And she always had this power, as you said, I had this power within me, and she was always put down for, you know, or being seen as evil because she was so powerful. And I thought that was really, really, you know, great to hear it for like a character. And the whole time, the music was great. Like the first time I saw it, and then I got to go back and like, I got to see it in school, and I got to go back and like research it. It really made me fall in love with Kristen Chenoweth, who actually played Glinda, and Adina Menzel, who actually played Elphaba. And ever since then, even though they're not the first, even though I never got to see those two live as those characters, like, they will always be my favorite, Elphaba and Glinda. Like, they always had that power dynamic together that was just, you could see the chemistry. You know, they were really good friends when they were playing these characters. And I just loved it. And the music was great. I think the biggest thing for me, and you guys will notice this in my, you guys already noticed when I talk about my favorite songs. Defying Gravity and For Good, obviously, which I'll be repeating that. Defying Gravity has that like, and it's like, she always has that, I'm flying high, defying gravity. So she has that song has such power behind it, especially when she goes, when it goes, and then it's that power behind it. It's just like, you could feel that in your heart. You could feel that in your heart when you're like, when you're watching that show. And every single time that song gives me goosebumps whenever I see it in the theater. I've seen it 16 times and I still get goosebumps. And the song For Good in the show, and I know I'm going to repeat myself when I do the other vlog, but, you know, I lost a really good friend of mine, and that song, For Good, really kind of like, it still makes me cry. And I love that song even before I had lost my friend. I had lost a friend of mine from high school. The first time I saw the show, that song made me cry. And it's still, even though I've seen it 16 times, that song makes me cry every single time. Even before I had that such emotional connection to the song. And and I just, you know, that song, you know, you left a paw print on my heart. For me, it's like, you left a handprint on my heart. You know, really shows like when you lose somebody, they're not really gone. And they're not really always ever going to be gone, because they're always going to have that spot in your place in your heart. And whether it's an animal or a family member or a friend or anybody. And I think that really shows that, like, no matter what happens and stuff, you'll still have that person with you. But I loved Wicked. And when we got to go work with the cast and stuff, and we got to work two of the ensemble members and learn and learn one of the songs, I was like learning the choreography. I was like learning the choreography, and I'm just like, oh my god, I freaking love this. I'm trying to find. I don't know where my thing is. But I just love the songs from Wicked. Anyway, but I could go on and on about that. But I love the show, and I've taken people to see the show, and they're like, wow, now I know why, or they've cried, or they know that, like, why, wow, you know. I even took my dad. We took my dad to see a show, and he's never seen a Broadway show before. You know, other shows that I'm going to talk about. But he liked the show too, and my mom loved the show. So like, it's a show that you can take anybody to, and they'd love it. My second show would be definitely Rock of Ages. You know, if you love 80s music, you are gonna freaking love Rock of Ages. It's definitely not a show to bring younger people to, because it has obviously like sexual innuendos. It has like a lot of 80s rock pop. A lot of 80s rock isn't appropriate for young children. There's a lot of there's a lot of just sexual like comments, or I think it's the cool thing about Rock of Ages, and I still love it. I think it's changed a little bit, but it always was like a party. You could like sit, you could like sing out, you could rock it, you could pretty much rock out to the show, and I think the actors always did a good job with that, and it was pretty much always as a big giant rock concert, and I always loved Rock of Ages for that, you know, and definitely when you hear that, just a small town girl living in a lonely world, you know, when he goes, just a city boy born and raised in South Detroit, Michigan, but like, there's a lot of, once you start seeing the show, like me and my mom, my dad, we freaking love the show. My grandma finally got to see it last year, and she freaking loved it. But me and my mom and dad had seen the show so many times, and it's one of those shows that we really connected on because it's 80s music. It's 80s rock, you know, Journey and Whitesnake and, you know, even Poison, and it's just one of those shows that you can't help but have fun at. And if you love 80s rock music, you would definitely love this show. And I can never, like, I'm so itching and stuff for Broadway to open back up in January, which kind of makes me really sad. But it's definitely a great show to see if you love 80s music or you love hard rock music. The next one is definitely my number 3, and these are really in order. I love all. If I love top 5 of these, if you're on the top 5 list, I freaking love these so much. Number 3 is new to it. I actually loved the music before, but now getting to see. Sorry, my allergies are acting up right now. But actually getting to see. Where am I? I lost my tea. Oh, there it is. But I talked so long about Wicked, sorry. So it's like gonna go on a longer video. I'm sorry. But would definitely be Hamilton. And I think since I now get to actually, I love the music, and I love the music for a long time. But this, after when I finally get to see it on the 3rd, it like sparked it in me to the point where like I've had like dreams and stuff with the Hamilton music. I've had dreams with Hamilton music playing in my dreams. I've had dreams about like, you know, just the show, and because it's so like, obviously Lin-Manuel Miranda he's a handsome guy, but I've always been a history buff. I've always loved history. I think when I lived in Germany for 3 years, I loved history. I loved history class. I loved learning about different things. I loved being able to go to like, when we went to Washington D.C., I loved learning about history. And when I finally got to see Hamilton, you know, in its full entirety as a show, I just was like I ended up watching it 2 more times. I ended up watching it 3 times in total. but I just like I cried at the end. I knew Hamilton was gonna die because obviously this is not a spoiler. If you know history, you know Hamilton dies. Or like when his son Philip died, I cried. Or when Eliza Hamilton at the end, when she tells her part of her story, and you know, I got so like I got so many emotions from that show. Now, like, the thing that normally turns people off from that show is like not everybody likes rap. Like I like Korean rap, and I like Eminem. American wise, I like Eminem and everything like that. But I wouldn't go listening to like, you know, I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to other like rap artists, and that's just because like that's not something I like to listen to if it sounds good to me. And I think that turns a lot of people off if they don't like rap. A lot of the dialogue is in the rap, and there's a lot of rap songs in it, but there's also like classical like Broadway, and then there's you know ballad songs, and then there's old like R&B songs. And I think unless you give the whole show a chance and look past the parts that are like rap, you wouldn't really know the show. And I think that's a sad part. If you don't like rap, people automatically shut themselves off from the show. And I think that's a really sad part, because they'd be missing a really good show with such a good, powerful message. And there's so many, and a lot of like the way it works in the show, rap works well in the show. And honestly, like I've been going through a lot of the songs, like lyric and stuff, watching lyrics and stuff, and I've got to the point now where I could like read I could read along with them, and I think it's kind of cool. And I like how like rap is something that you see a lot in American music and stuff nowadays. So or even back in 2014, like when the show came out, I think it was a good way for a lot of younger people to get excited about history, because this show really brought a new flavor to history, and like a breath of fresh air to history, instead of just being like four old white men and stuff, and four old white men just like, you know, read the Constitution, or a white guy, you know, Alexander Hamilton creating the first, you know, bank and, you know, money system. I think it gave people a new view on, you know, that stuff. And there's a lot of stuff in our I've been watching a lot of interviews, and Lin-Manuel Miranda actually says a good thing is like the message of the show, and the way that they've said things. The show hasn't changed since 2014 when the show came out. The show hasn't changed in many years. What we're going on in our world, and what we're arguing about today, and what we're working on today, is a lot of the stuff that they were still working on back then, and trying to create America. And this show is really well written, and it's so well done. And I know there's a lot of people that fix things in history, like in the show, that's, although it's not done right, it's not correct. When Lin-Manuel Miranda made this show, and he was writing this show for 6 years, he wrote it off of the book. So whatever was wrong in the book. Don't blame the show. But I think it was a really revolutionary way to take a multiracial cast and bring them into being, you know, into characters that are historically the historical figures are, you know, are white. And I think that it brought a new you know, view into history, and I think that was really, really cool. But I think the show is just well done in general. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda did a great job. I think all the actors did a really, really good job. And you don't hear much about Aaron Burr, so like I'm gonna talk about this when I do my Hamilton video. But I think they did a really good job on giving a different view of that, and it evokes emotions in the show. But I'm going to be talking about some little things I found out about the show too. The next one would be Rent. Um, Seasons of Love. 525,600 minutes. Like, that show is so good. Especially, like, I actually first watched that show when I lived in Germany. It was in Mrs. Kingsbury. It was in Mrs. Kingsbury's class, her music class. And we watched that show. My allergies are kicking my butt today. We watched that show and learned about, like, what the show was telling us. And I thought that it had such a powerful message to the show. And, you know, Anthony Rapp did an awesome job. And all the other cast members did such a good job to it. And I loved the movie. I've loved the show. I liked how the show took on, like, a same-sex couple. Both, you know, they took on, you know, transgender. They took on AIDS. They took on, like, you can't help but when Angel dies, you can't help but cry. Like, I cry every time. But Idina Menzel also was really, really good in it too. But whenever I hear, Seasons of Love, Seasons of Love, Rent, we learned about more when I was in high school. We did it for AIDS awareness and Equity Fights AIDS. Broadway does a lot with that foundation, and we learned a lot about it. But Red Ribbon Week, we got to do all this lot of stuff. But I think that Rent was just a great show when it came to that stuff. And they did Lo Vivo M, which that talked about a lot of sexual stuff, which most people wouldn't really want to. They'd be like, no, don't touch that. And it just was a great show when it came. It was a very emotion evoking show, which I feel like it's the same way with, like, Hamilton and Rent, but Hamilton was more history and Rent was more like the AIDS crisis that was going on at that time. And at that time, they really didn't know much about what was going on. And especially, like, I actually read Anthony Rapp's book, and I even have the DVD of the show. And when they did Rent Live, and then at the end they brought out the original cast members and stuff and everything, that made my heart, like, I cried. And most people don't know, is like, when before the show opened, Jonathan Larson, who actually was fighting HIV, was Jonathan Larson, who wrote the show. He passed away the day before the show was supposed to open. And I think that was a really big, you know, thing when it came to the show. And they still they still went and did the show the next day for him. But that was a really, really good show. My last but not least, number 5, I know I'm getting 23 minutes. I'm really, really sorry. I get to jabbering about a show because you guys I love the show so much. My next video the Hamilton video will still be a little bit long, but definitely my shows I have seen on Raw and Off Broadway will be a lot shorter. But would definitely be the show that started it all. The show that started it all, especially with my theater, you know, that sparked the passion of wanting to do theater. With a little elementary school little girl, was when PBS used to show Broadway shows. They used to show shows, musical theater shows, and they showed Cats on PBS. Now, there's some people that do not like the show Cats because obviously it's weird, and the live action movie that came out, I didn't like the CGI. I like the music. But the CGI really kind of made me sad because I was so excited for it to come out, which makes me a little nervous to do I hope they do, like, Wicked like they did Hamilton and make it, like, just a show. I would totally buy that DVD. I'd watch Wicked over and over and over. But back to Cats. I remember watching it, sitting in front of the TV, watching it on PBS, and just being like, holy crap, I want to do that. I remember being like, look at my mom and be like, I want to do that. I want to be on stage like that. I want to do that. Like, maybe not like dancing like Cats, but like, I just wanted to be on stage. Like, that's the thing that sparked something in me to be like, I want to be in theater. I want to be on stage like that. I want to be able to be in costumes like that. I want to be able to sing like and everything. And that's just the show. Ever since then, to just like really spark that in me. And I whenever I hear memory all alone in the moonlight, I love that song. And we got to do that song in my Jefferson Singers in college. It was a musical class. And I was so happy. I was a very happy girl. The way that the Broadway show did it was so good. And they made the actors who dressed up as cats looked so good. And I wish they would have done that for the movie and stuff, having them in the, the makeup and the outfits and not CGI. But that's another story for another time. But yeah, Cats will always be that show that sparked theater in me and sparked that little elementary school girl to go on and do many, many shows like I did do. But yeah, those are my top 5 favorite shows: Wicked, Rock of Ages, Hamilton, Rent, and Cats. If you guys like this video, give it thumbs up. I'm really sorry it went so long. But if you guys love musical theater, you guys will want to hear what I say. Want to hear what I have to say. In the comments, let me know, what is your favorite Broadway show? What is your favorite musical show? Like, what is your favorite musical theater show? It doesn't have to be Broadway, but like, what's your favorite musical in general? Like, what's the show that's just really, you could just say is your favorite? I know it's really hard because these 5 were like, took me a bit to think. But if you guys, in the bottom box, I will put my Instagram, my cosplay Facebook page, my Snapchat, my TikTok, my Instagram. Go like, follow, comment, all those things, and I'll be really, really happy. I've been posting more on my Instagram and my TikTok, so go check those out. Also click the little subscription button so you guys can check out my other videos. I try to post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I try to do that every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But yeah. So also click the little notification bell so you guys get a notification when I post a video. But I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys later. Annyeong!